Thanks, Joran. We might start with you. We'll just go through a quick few slides just to take you through the International Agribusiness Program and what we intend before we go to a Q&A session, and we want to leave plenty of room for that session and for your questions and answers. Thanks, Joran. So firstly, we do plan to run this program this year, and there's the dates there, 21st to 30th of May, so a 10-day program in Indonesia. So Jakarta and surrounds and Sulawesi are the main centres that we intend to run this. Yeah, so look, leadership can enhance our ability to make progress in a complex world, and we know that the world of agribusiness and related sectors is probably no different from many others in the sense of the complexity that it faces, both in terms of what's happening at a domestic front and internationally. You know, and the world around us is just getting more complex anyway. So we know from long experience that good leadership practice can help us make progress in relation to that. Thanks, Joran. And what we've done through the ARLF and in partnership with IU and her team is to develop a unique opportunity for the development of that leadership practice in the agribusiness sector in our region, and obviously, and in particular, between Australia and Indonesia in the first instance. Thanks, Joran. So a little bit about ARLF firstly, and some of you are well known to us and others, less so. So firstly, we've over 30 years experience in terms of leadership development programs, primarily in Australia and for rural and regional and remote Australia, but also we've run many sessions of programs in an international sense, and we'll get to this shortly, but we also have significant experience in running programs in Indonesia as well. So we took our Australian Rural Leadership Program there every year for 5 years, worked closely with IU and her team and a number of others, and so we have deep experience in that country. Importantly, what we run is experiential leadership development programs. So these are primarily not classroom-based learning programs and experiences, but they're immersive experiences, and often, and as much as possible, in real life scenarios. So the focus of our work and our approach, you know, is not about content-based learning, so how much information we could throw at participants, but more exposing them to a range of different and rich experiences, and obviously helping them make sense of those experiences in their own context. And in so doing, helping them to build the behavioural and social intelligence that they'll require in terms of good leadership practice. Now, whether that's in their agribusiness organisation, it could be more broadly across their industry, and in fact could be exercised anywhere. It also very much involves working with others. This isn't, our programs start from a basis of greater self-awareness and development, and moving from that into working with others and looking at a systems and systems-based approach to addressing complex challenges. Now, for this program, the focus and the context will be very much around agribusiness and in Indonesia in this case. Thanks, JLo. That's probably a little bit about the ARLF. So the International Agribusiness Leadership Program specifically, we're talking about a 10-day immersive experience in Indonesia, and that primarily based in both Sulawesi and also Jakarta and surrounds. Obviously, it will feature heavily the broader geopolitical context that we find ourselves in terms of both countries and in terms of the agribusiness sectors in that broader context. There will be an opportunity for participants to gain those cross-cultural insights and to build relationships across those international borders. We will explore the evolving situation and demands in terms of the agribusiness sector, not just in both countries, but more broadly and globally. And a much deeper understanding of the role of adaptive leadership and how that can be brought to bear in terms of that approach, as I say, for all participants in their own context, in their own organisation, and potentially more broadly than that. Thanks, Joran. We know that, just as we talked about, that agribusiness in any country, and in fact globally, does face unique challenges. And we obviously have seen disruption, to supply chains and all these sorts of things in recent years. In many countries, we've seen things like, escalating input costs, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot happening, and there are many challenges that the industry faces. We've just named a few of them there, but there's so many more. There's obviously growing demand for leadership and good leadership practice, and groups of people working together who can help navigate some of these challenges effectively. And we know that happens both inside organisations and across sectors as well. So really our mission and our approach and our intent for this program is to help develop people who can respond to and lead through this sort of change, and fostering a more adaptable approach to change in that sector. And again, this applies at an organisational level, a broader sectoral level, and across countries, in fact. Thanks, Jado. So one question might be, why Indonesia? If you're looking at an international program, I guess you could take it anywhere, and that's absolutely true. So firstly, Indonesia is of absolute growing importance to Australia in terms of both in terms of bilateral trade, in terms of a near neighbour for a whole host of reasons, from security to culture and everything in between. We know from our own experience that it's a very rich place for learning, and that immersive style of learning in that culture and context. We know it's on track as a country to be the world's 4th largest economy by 2045. So really significant in the scheme of things, and being near neighbours, the relationship between the two countries becomes ever more important. So there'll obviously be an opportunity from an Australian context to build real relationships through and post a program like this, and it goes the other way too. We have Indonesian participants on this program. They will be able to do similar, with Australian participants. And while our focus on this first year of the program is a program completely run in Indonesia, we do have a view that in future years, we would want to see this program run partly in Indonesia and partly in Australia to enhance that cross-cultural experience. So important to also note that we may have interest from participants in third countries, so potentially and significantly around our Indo and Asia Pacific region. And I think it is important to understand in terms of our method and style of learning. So this, whatever that looks like in the Indonesian context, can be adapted to other contexts. So I think that's an important thing to recognise. Thanks, Jado. So from a participant perspective, what's the opportunity here? Firstly, to develop those relationships, with peers and leaders in both countries and from both countries. And obviously where those networks might lead to from there, who knows in terms of that side of things. Obviously to enhance someone's own leadership practice, their own leadership skills, with a focus on real world agribusiness challenges. So again, our approach, and as some of you will know, having been through other programs, is not based on that classroom-based approach where we're pouring content into people. We will immerse this group of participants in real-world situations that could be cultural and community, through to deep immersion in Indonesian agribusinesses, real time, where they'll get really unprecedented, not just unprecedented access, but be able to contribute to that agribusiness in the time that they're there. And therefore, that learning by doing, that experiential learning approach, is immediately applicable and become, and is obviously ingrained in the people who've been through that experience. There's the opportunity for those participants to drive meaningful change, as I said before, either at their organisation or industry level or beyond. And importantly, we talk about being in a state of unconscious incompetence. It's just an opportunity to learn things you didn't know that you don't know. So a learner's mentality and learning how to learn, not just learning about things. We know from 30 years plus of experience that our approach, which continues to be updated and enhanced every year, we know it works. We know it's impactful, and we feel very confident that a program like this will be just as impactful in Indonesia and through this lens. Thanks, Jado. So when it comes to organisations who might be considering investing in something like this for their mid to senior level people in their organisations, we expect to see participants emerge from this with an increased capacity, not just to lead in terms of their management and in a management team, but to adopt and promote and work with others on new ways of thinking and making progress and problem solving in your organisation. We expect to see participants emerge from this who are more adaptable in the face of change, and they improve the way in which they're working with and beyond their teams and other people across the organisation in those organisational challenges as well. A chance to establish and deepen relationships with a whole host of people from across Australia and Indonesia. And we expect to see people whose curiosity has been stimulated. They recognise they don't all have all the answers, but they're working closely with others to discover them. Now, we expect to see all of those things from this cohort of participants. Thanks, Joran. Here's just a few quotes from both people who've supported existing programs and people who've been participants on programs, which might just give a bit of a sense of that approach, what people took from that, and what it's meant to them as they've gone back into their own lives and their own context and their own organisations. So that just might give a bit of a sense of things. So what we're looking for, and in order for someone who's interested to book a place on the program, to do so before the 1st of April, that gives us enough lead time to complete all of the arrangements we will need to do. And we've pre-booked obviously a number of things in advance, but just to be able to settle everything we need to settle from our end. One of our colleagues, Tristan Richmond, will be the main point of contact. You can see his details below, which are all on the website. Again, we are looking at mid to senior level. Of course, we would consider people from third countries in the region as well. There's the registration deadline, and we talked about the program dates being the end of May, 21 to 30 May, which is a 10-day program plus travel. So now is the audience participation part of the afternoon. Just before I go there, I might just ask Kath Marriott if she's got anything she'd like to add at this point.
Thank you very much, Matt. I think just something to cover is just a little bit of background of where this idea and the concept has come from. And obviously, the foundation has been working and running leadership programs for over 30 years, and a number of our partners have identified that an opportunity for that sort of the more senior level with exposure into the international context for the purposes of learning would be of benefit. So this is something that the foundation have actually developed on the feedback from people that we work with on a regular basis. So it's new, it's innovative, it's different. There's nothing like it on the market that we're aware of, and we've done quite a bit of market research. So yeah, just wanting to share a little bit around where it has come from and why we're doing it, and happy to open to questions.
Great, thanks, Kath. Folks, any questions you may have, feel free to stick up a hand or stick something in the chat, whatever you'd like to do. We just put a link to the website there too for the further information you might require. So either I've done a fantastic job and explained absolutely everything there is to know about the program, or people are a little bit hesitant. But Philip, go ahead.
Thanks, Matt, and great initiative from the foundation too. Thanks for that. Hey, just wondering if you could run through some bit more of the practical on the ground activities that you've got proposed, please, Matt.
Yeah, look, sure, Philip, and appreciate as part of our approach, we won't telegraph absolutely everything we're doing, but however, I know what you're saying. So yeah, look, firstly, it's intended that the group will all fly to and meet in Jakarta en route to Sulawesi, and so we'll start that part of the program in Sulawesi. There, that group will be going to some deep immersion activities. So that includes, like I said before, part of those will be local and cultural, and some of those will be very much immersing that group of people real time in Indonesian businesses and agribusinesses in that region. And they'll be contributing as part of the program to those businesses whilst they're there. So we know that Sulawesi is very important from an Indonesian perspective. It is the trade and commerce hub of that archipelago, and it's very important from an agribusiness and agriculture perspective in Indonesia as well. So it's pretty rich in terms of the opportunity for us and this cohort in the activities that they'll be immersed in there. So that'll be the focus in that area. We'll obviously also be bringing people in to the group, as well as that local context and local immersion. We'll be exposing them to other people and contributors who'll be working with them on the broader geopolitical context that they find themselves in, and also what's happening across the agribusiness sector from a more global perspective. So they'll also immerse in some activities around that. We'll then, after a number of days in that area, we'll also, of course, they'll be working deeply in adaptive leadership as part of that part of the program as well. And as the program goes on, exposing them to some of those other ideas and practices and how they might put them into play in working through complexity to make progress, in whatever shape or form that looks like. We'll also be exposing the group to and running some exercises on some of that systems thinking approach and how that relates to their work, their organisation, and their industry in whichever country that they're in. We'll then move back to Jakarta and the surrounding areas there. They'll obviously they'll go through a significant process there with the Australian Embassy, Austrade, and related staff in that area. So that country-to-country context, how it all works, contribution of agribusiness, the implications for that, what that might mean for their own operation and business at home, be that in Australia or Indonesia. And they'll have a second opportunity in that region to also dive into some significant agribusinesses in that area as well, and some who have that close connection, obviously, between Australia and Indonesia, where there are strong export and other bilateral trade links. Kath, what else have I missed?
I think just to point out that the leaders that will be meeting over in both Sulawesi and Jakarta are cross-sectoral. So, I mean, all within agribusiness, but we'll be meeting with leaders from the research community, the philanthropic community, the building, the infrastructure community, the business community, the public service. So giving participants a really well-rounded opportunity to learn and grow through different framings. Everything's contributing to agriculture or agribusiness, but to expose them to different styles of leadership for different purposes. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, Matt, because yeah,
no, that's.
I'm not the boss.
No, that's okay. But Philip, I hope it gives a sense of what we'll be doing and in a broad sense and our approach. So again, we'll be taking that group. The real opportunity to build that behavioural and social intelligence is to put that cohort into a range of different and rich experiences. They offer them the opportunity to unpack that, to understand a bit more about their contribution to it and others, what they might change, and load them into another experience again. So we'll be taking them around that loop quite a few times in the 10 days that will be there. They'll also have pretty unprecedented access to some really key Indonesian leaders, as Kath said, from across a range of. These are everything from, respected and key journalists in Indonesia, right through to people right absolutely immersed in the business of agribusiness as well. So pretty significant.
Thank you very much for that, Matt, and also Catherine for your input in that. And I understand that you can't fully disclose everything, but that was a good roundup. Just one final one, post-trip obligations for the participants. Is there any sort of further post-trip requirements?
Not as such from us, but what we'll want to discover, once we have our final list of organisations who are supporting and sending people on a program like this, is around their needs, and really importantly, investing through somebody in an opportunity like this is significant for the individual, but from our perspective, it's got to be as significant for the organisation as it is for the individual. So we'll be working with them on what might be the best ways, pre and post, to work with your participant, the person that you're sending, in terms of allowing space and integration of ideas and approaches back in the business, so to take full advantage of the investment that they're making. So Phil, we'll be looking to work with organisations on that basis. Thank you. Folks, other questions?
Matt, we had 2 questions about the costs in the chat that we've answered. We might just want to talk through
Okay.
that as well.
Right. Sorry, what were the questions? Do you want to go ahead?
Question what the cost is, and then if travel costs are included in the price or additional.
Okay. Yep. So we've the full cost there, 17,600. That includes all of their travel to and from the international port of embarkation, or whatever we're calling it these days. So that's all inclusive of there. If they've got a cost to get to the port they're going from, that would be additional, but that's the only thing outside of that. So that's all of their accommodation, meals, their international travel leg, their internal travel legs, anyone else we're bringing into the program, our costs, et cetera, that's all there. There will be a participant fee. We always ask for something. From our long experience, it's always better that every participant in every program has skin in the game. So while an organisation might send somebody, the participant should contribute something to their own learning, because what's in front of them, the opportunity is significant, and we want people who are committed to, to being part of this and contributing to the cohort, not just what they can take from it. So I hope that answers that question. What else have we got, folks? What else is on your mind? What else are you wondering about? So other than just to reiterate, we've taken over 150 participants over 5 years through 14-day experiences in Indonesia, which was immediately pre-COVID. So, and we work closely with IU and her team. Kath herself has significant extensive experience in Indonesia. Her Bahasa is better than mine. So, we've got that deep experience, connections, networks there that we can draw upon. We're not trying to start from scratch here. We know what we're doing in this market. Other questions, folks, that you might be thinking about, either as a participant or someone who's thinking about your mid to senior level people and whether this might be an opportunity for them?
I have a question, Matt.
Go ahead, Tina.
Matt, in the past, your ARLF programs, you've had funding partners or sponsored placements. Have ARLF been seeking those for this program at all, or from industry or regional organisations?
We haven't, Tina, for this one. We've approached this in the same way as we do our national agribusiness program, which is it's a mixture, but primarily it's organisations funding a place or multiple places, and sometimes it's someone who's become interested in the program and aware of what's going on, and have gone back and sought funding or encouraged our own organisation to be involved. So we've had both of those, but we haven't gone out and sought a scholarship type approach that we would do for something like ARLP.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. What else, folks? What else is on your minds?
Matt, I might just jump back in.
Go ahead.
A lot of discussion last year around biosecurity issues and that sort of thing. Obviously, there'd be some risk management applied to a trip like this. Can you just explain that through, if you can?
Yeah, there would be. We're pretty painfully aware of, if the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation ends up bringing back something on a boot, well, it wouldn't be a great look, Bill. So, yeah, we do, and we'd obviously stress that and take the group through the relevant procedures that would be required to minimise that, the chance that some sort of biosecurity risk might be brought into either country. So yeah, we'd absolutely do that and have a focus there. How are we going, folks? Is there anything else that you're wondering about? No, you're feeling pretty good, Kiralee, good to see you.
Hi, Matt. Nice to see you too. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
I didn't test my audio before. I was a bit late jumping on, sorry. I just wanted to ask, is this program just going to be happening once annually? Like, how is this? I guess this is the bit of unknown, but I guess for some agribusinesses and industry, that timing around May is a little bit tricky, perhaps. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to experience the Indonesia immersion through the ARLP course 24, and it was fantastic. So for anyone else that's on the call today, I can absolutely recommend that this will be an amazing opportunity, and it's unforgettable. I just cannot thank the ARLF enough for this experience they gave myself and what that's meant. And that was 5 years ago, and I still vividly remember the connections and the learnings from that time. So I'd love to see this opportunity to blossom and grow, and just working out how this might work. And I guess the other question, Matt, is not just around the timing, but who really is your target audience? Because I'm more than happy to start shoulder tapping a few people.
Yep, thanks, Kira. I appreciate that. And on timing, look, in the end, we'll be guided by those who think this is a good idea and want to invest in the program. You know, we put forward these dates and thinking that this might work. But if we get significant feedback that, you know, this is a rubbish time and we need to move it to another one, then we'll respond to that. And we know in Indo, there's a couple of times a year it's going to get a little less comfortable than others, but there's plenty of opportunity to move that around if that's the feedback that we receive. So in terms of the who, we're really, it's pretty broad in the sense that we're looking for anyone across the broader agribusiness sector. So I think, as Kath mentioned before, they could be right in the thick of what you might think of agribusiness, like in a fertilizer or chemical business, or a, you know, in livestock, etc., etc. But they could also equally be involved in research, or, you know, there could be a number of areas across the value chain, transport, logistics, whatever. The point is that they've got a footprint in some focus on the agribusiness sector. I think will be the most useful, and we're particularly seeking those with some leadership experience already. So it's important that, you know, as you well know, Kira, that there's an inner shared experience. We're not looking for people to be the same. We're looking for diversity, and we're looking for people who all have some leadership experience, so that they've got something to lean back into to make the most of the experience that we're going to put in front of them.
Excellent. That's given me a really good idea of who I should be approaching, and I've got a few people in mind, so I will go away and get in contact with them and see if they're interested in participating. And I wish you guys really well, because I think this is a great initiative. It's something that we did talk about when we left Indonesia. How do we keep those connections? Because I think we were one of the last groups that went through. So yeah, this will be really special.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Kira. Right. Any other questions, folks? No? Okay. Any final comments, Kath, or are you?
No, from my perspective, I think one of the biggest gifts of an overseas experience is that it taps into your unconscious incompetence, and it challenges judgments and bias. And I think that leading in a contemporary context with a rapidly changing business environment, those sorts of skills, the capacity for broad thinking, is something that we can showcase and experience in Australia, but we're still comfortable and it's still familiar. So the real gift and the point of difference with this program is that you're getting that in an uncomfortable, unfamiliar space, which extrapolates your learning and also cements your experiences so that you can draw back on those. So I've probably just waffled, but, you know, I'm just excited about the program. And yeah, really chuffed to have you all on. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kath. Are you?
So a quick one from me, Matt. So first of all, I look forward to meeting the participant and whoever is gonna joining this program. This program is quite exciting, because this is the first time they're going to joining the Indonesian and then the Australian participant. So I think what would be better to just like knowing your closest neighbor by not spending the time together with them. And then this year will be in Indo, but then Matt also said that in the future they're probably like in both country, which is like going to be a bit more maybe interesting for both. Like the Indonesia also can experience the Australian culture by being in the Australian. So look forward for the program when it's running, and yeah, I'll be in the best to just like supporting and make sure this program is going to be a successful one, like what the people have always done. Thank you.
Good on you. Thanks, IU. Folks, thanks very much. I really appreciate you joining us today. Please feel free to follow up through the links on the website and go straight to Tristan, and we will be in touch with you immediately following that. We can answer any other questions you might have. We can work with you from either a participant or an organisational level to ensure that this is a good fit for you. I'd also like to thank our ARLF team who support all this and making today happen. So thank you to all of you. And look, enjoy the rest of your day. We're looking forward to this program. It's a significant development and we're very excited about it. So all the best, folks, and have a good day.
Just before we go, everyone.
Oh, sorry.
We've got sorry, Matt. We've got
Oh,
a poll.
yeah, I forgot that bit. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We've got a little poll that I'll get Zelda to launch now. If you could take a minute just to answer some of those questions, just to let us know how we did today and how you found the session. A couple of questions in there. If you could take just 1 minute to fill them out, we'd really appreciate that before you head off. And then, yeah, you'll get the recording and the PowerPoint as well after this. So, you're right, Zelda?
It's going.
Finding it? Great. Thank you.
You didn't organise any elevator music, Joran, for this bit, no?
No, I was just thinking I'm not the best singer, but
Fantastic. Thanks, folks.
come through.
Thank you for filling that out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Good on you. Thanks, Tina. See you, Gav.